Hello and welcome to Food Safety Fridays. My name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network. It's a few weeks since we've been on, but it's great to be back, and no finer person to have on our first webinar for a few weeks than our good friend Vladimir Sachinsky. How are you doing, Vladimir?
Hello. I am very good. Very good.
Tell the audience where you're joining us from today, Vlad.
I'm joining from Belgrade, Serbia. I'm pretty sure that you already heard on the news about Serbia, what is going on, and etc. That we have another peak and COVID is crazy here, etc. But you know,
You're
that's
safe,
why we are safe and we can perform these webinars, and this is very good.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. The subject today is IFS Logistics. It's version 5.
No, it's actually version 2.2 because logistics is already according to GFSI. So, yeah.
Okay, 2.2. My bad. Sorry. Right, I'm going to play the ads from the sponsors. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and then we'll get the presentation started.
The world of food has changed a lot in the last 100 years. But one thing that doesn't change? Ensuring the quality and safe handling of food. No matter what changes are yet to come, we're proud to always be on our clients' side, shaping the future of food today and tomorrow. AIB International, ever onward.
Okay, that's the sponsor of Food Safety Fridays. Thanks to them that obviously these little short bursts of education get brought to you regularly, and also thanks to our speakers, such as you, Vlad. Really do appreciate you taking the time today. So I'll be back later to help with the polls and Q&A, but for now, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Vladimir.
Let's set up the presentation and we can start.
Okay.
So I see that you are all here. There is a lots of people in the chat room now, and I would just like to welcome you to all of your food safety friends. And of course, thank you for logging into this presentation. And of course, thank you, IFS Quen, for giving all of us place to share and to learn about food safety. And I need to say special thank to you, Simon, for being our host for these great webinars. Today, we are going to talk about main requirements of IFS Logistic Standard. So practically, You all know me from some previous webinars since I started presenting for IFS Gwen from 2015. Till now, we have talked about all kinds of food safety topics, and my goal was always to present something that you are struggling with and how I see the solutions for that from my auditing and consultation experience. I'm certified food safety expert. I have more than 10 years in food safety topics through implementation, training, auditing, business, and food safety standards are my focus, but still I'm strongly included in standards for quality, for environmental protection, health and safety, business continuity, and of course, risk assessment. I'm currently on position of product manager for certification and trainings in food standards in certification body of Quality Austria, where I'm also accredited auditor and trainer. And I have performed more than 500 audits in different industries, different kinds of audits, and more than 1,000 persons trained, even more trained through the online platforms. So I really have a vision of finding a new ways to analyze risk in food safety and defining of methods that will be used in industries across the world. So my strategy is to develop and research new topics in food safety, presenting them through webinars, trainings, forums, blogging, and also all kind of publications. So this is the reason that there is also a new thing, and from the beginning of 2019, I started my own video blog called Addicted to Food Vlog that is focused on food safety topics, and it is available on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It is still developing mode, focused on market of Southeast Europe, but there are translation included for new videos. So if you would like, you can find me everywhere and we can talk about, and you can see a lots of different topics. Just for the start, our first question today is already set up in the pool, and the question is, are you already certified according to IFS Logistics? So it would really help us if you go to the pools and answer the question.
If you, just as an idea, if you're not, if you're certified to another logistics standard, BRC, SQF, mention that in the chat. That'd be interesting to know as well.
Okay, so for now we have more than 80% that are not certified according to IFS Logistics. So this is good. So today we are going to cover this IFS Logistic, and of course, if you have any other standard, you can type it in the chat box. So in general, IFS Logistic is standard for auditing logistics services in relation to product quality and safety. And this standard document was published in December 2017. And this 2.2 version is still active and in line with the GFSI requirements. Although GFSI requirements changed in some previous period, IFS Logistic is still, because of the characteristics, still according to the GFSI requirements. So today, food industry is changing with the world trends that could be grouped in global population, migrations, and nutrition. There are population explosion, conflicts, migration, urbanization, and on the other hand, terrorism, religious and clan warfare in the world. All of this affects that there is 1 billion of people that could be called migrants. All of these people are accustomed to certain types of diet, types of food, and how they are prepared. Of course, these people want to eat that kind of food in the countries where they migrated. Part of these people will get jobs in the food industries. Nutrition today is explained through malnutrition and food pollution, including distribution and storage problems. And here, taking into consideration all mentioned, we must say that all big world crises started with a lack of food. Now we need to focus not only on production of needed amounts, but also on safety of these amounts and providing the safe way of logistic these amounts. If we look at the world population increase, it is expected to have more than 90 billion of people in the world till 2050. This will increase food demands from 59 to 98%. And for us food safety professionals, that means that food safety must increase for at least 300%, and this will give additional pressure to the distribution and also to the transport. And we must mention the existing situation, existing pandemic that will influence food safety system. We mentioned it in one of the previous webinars connected to COVID-19, that the main processes to be affected at now are food defense and food fraud, but also supply chain is on the quest here. We were among the first ones to mention it, and we believe that actually, for example, if we say that for example, food chain is disrupted, there is a lack of raw ingredients, substitution could happen without informing the consumer of regulation. And this is something that we discussed during our training for food fraud and food defense. And here also what we need is to point out the necessity of stable food supply chain. And one of the standards that could help here is, of course, the IFS Logistic. So after you see the changes in the world and demands of people, you will see the heavy mission of the GFSI to provide continuous improvement in food safety management system to ensure confidence in the delivery of safe food to consumers worldwide and their vision of safe food for consumers everywhere. This is why GFSI approves certification schemes, and one of them is IFS Food. And IFS Food, including also IFS Logistic as part of the GFSI recognition. In order to prevent some logistic companies from being overwhelmed by different requirements, the German and French retailers, supported by other international retailers, developed the IFS Logistic version 1 in 2006. So actually, version 2 was a collaboration of 3 retail federations from France, Germany, and Italy, actually, and of course, working connection with IFS North America, and this was the working group. So the IFS Logistics Standard from here applies to food and non-food products. The IFS Logistic includes also all logistical activities like loading, transportation, offloading, storage, handling, and some further distribution. And this standard is applicable for all types of transport, no matter it is a truck, it is a train, ship, whatever, and also other types of transport, temperature controlled or ambient stable. IFS Logistic objectives is mentioned here. It is to check the requirements for understanding, to adopt standard to meet some current legislation, also to include it all in IFS doctrines, and to include some specific requirements, for example, for freezing and towing as a service, and also to include to update the standards in accordance with the new version of GFSI. So in the future, maybe we can expect that there are some changes in the IFS Logistic, but for now we can say that actually this is version that is valid. When we talk about IFS Logistic, there are several, and these types of audit are similar like any other GFSI standard. So we have the initial audit. This is the first audit that would be performed in the company if you are still not certified. And during this audit, the entire company is audited, both in relation to its documentation and the processes themselves. And during the audit, all IFS requirements shall be assessed by the auditor. If you pass this initial audit, next year you can expect the renewal audits. So IFS Logistics certificate lasts for 1 year, and after 1 year you will have, or before the expiry of the certificate, you will have the renewal audit. In case that there is some issues with the audit or some non-conformities, then you have the follow-up audit. Follow-up audit is performed to check actually, did you correct some major non-conformity that could happen during the audit. In case that you have changed something in the company, then you can have some extension audit. For example, you used additional location for distribution, or you inputted some new products, then you will have to call your certification body and to see, do you need some extension audit so to extend the scope of your certificate. So this is similar like in any other standard. When we look at the IFS Logistics scope, I will start from what is that IFS shall not apply to the processing of food or non-food products. So if you have any step, like you receive some bulk goods and you pre-pack it, this is not IFS Logistic. If you have any steps of opening the packaging and you do anything in your company, this is not IFS Logistic. It could be IFS Food. In case that you have importation, trading of goods, this is also not IFS Logistic. Transportation of living animals, also this is not IFS Logistic. It could be all kind of other standards, but not IFS Logistic. Only process that you can have is the thawing or the freezing, but this is only in the original packaging. So you're receiving it, maybe freezing it as a service, but you are not doing anything else, like opening the packaging, pre-packing, or something else. Following scopes are defined for IFS Logistic. This is storage and transport of food products and non-food products. Okay. In IFS Logistic and Audit, you will have these 4 scoring possibilities. 4 scoring possibilities are A, B, C, D, and all of this is okay to get. Only you wouldn't like to get a lots of C's and D's. These are the deviations. C's are small part of the requirement has been implemented, and D requirement has not been implemented. So you would not like to get a lots of D's and C's, because it could lead to the very low percentage on your final score, and it could also lead to not getting the certificate. In addition to this scoring, the auditor can decide to give the company also a knockout, and you will see that there are several knockout questions in the requirements, or a major, which is a non-conformity that will subtract points from the total amount, meaning that you will not get the certificate, and this will require from you to perform the corrective actions in some time period, and also to have a follow-up audit so that auditor check that the major is removed. So today's presentation is defined for you as gap analysis, and Simon will share with you open PowerPoint slides so that you can use it in your company. I will not go through each specific requirement because we don't have a lot of time. Maybe we will go a little bit across the time today. I will not go through each specific requirement, but I will inform you about the group requirement specifics and on what to pay attention while you are implementing this standard. So first chapter is senior management responsibility, and requirements here are mentioned. First requirement is, of course, the similar like in any standard, to define the corporate policy and describe the corporate principles. So this is only one document. This document, IFS, any IFS Food, and this is something for you to remember, IFS Food or IFS Broker or Logistic, they are made in Germany, and they are very, very specific. So in this case, and very easy to implement. Let's say from my point of view, it is very easy to implement because it is very clear standard. So here they are saying you need to develop corporate policy, and here in the corporate policy, as a minimum, you need to consider the product safety, customer focus, environmental responsibility, personal responsibility, sustainability. And also, policy should be communicated to employees. What is interesting is that this policy must be connected with the objectives. So if your top management defines the policy is communicated to the employees on all kind of ways. The second requirement in the first senior management responsibility is this corporate structure, but they are mentioning here also one knockout question. So what is the knockout question from the early beginning, which points out that management is responsible and must be included in each step of the IFS. This knockout question is saying that senior management shall be responsible for the corporate policy and objectives. So this is easy. They define the policy. But the necessary resources and investments to ensure the product safety, legality, and quality according to client agreements and specifications shall be provided. So what is here that they are saying? We already have a knockout question, and here your top management will have to have objectives, but for them also responsibilities and resources. objectives here need to be connected with the specific food safety goals. And also top management must present the investments made each year that supports these objectives. In case that this is not done, no certificate can be issued. Any investment, but top management, your CEO must sit there with the auditor and say, we have invested in the floors, we have invested in the training of employees, we have invested in the somewhere and improved our legality, we improved our quality, we improved our safety. And this is the responsibility of senior management, and this is why this is the requirement that is first in the actually of the IFS Logistic, but also similar in the IFS Food. So all of these first questions are talking about senior management responsibility. Also among them is the customer focus, and this means that you shall have the procedure that shall be evaluated and considered to determine some quality and product safety objectives. And here you need to have all the documents that you're developing focused on your customers. So in case that you have some specific customer requirements, like that customer wants specific type of distribution, specific type of storage, you shall have the document that shows this, and actually you will comply with this document or the requirement and show that you have this customer focus, of course. And in this senior management responsibility, what is there, of course, is management review. Like in any other standard, you have this management review. So what is a management review? Like I always want to say, this is something done by the management. So management responsibility is to perform the management review. So, okay, the quality department, the specific managers of each department will collect the information, will collect the data, and compare this data, analyze it, and deliver it to the management. But the management, CEO, and other managers will perform the review of all the analyses. And here IFS Logistic is very clear, saying that management system is reviewed at least annually or more frequently. So you will have one management review at least once per year, and you will have the record of this, and this record will show minimally results of audits, customer feedback, statuses of preventive and corrective actions, quality and product safety policy, and objectives, follow-up, etc., etc. So it is very clear in point what is needed to be covered by the management review. Also, what is needed here is that, and very specific for the IFS standards, is that companies shall identify and review regularly, at least again, annually, the infrastructure needed to achieve conformity. So you will have, beside the management review, additional document that shows that you have checked minimally once per year the infrastructure of your company. And this is one additional record. Okay, when we go further, this is a second chapter that is focused on quality and product safety management. And among this chapter, we start with, again, what? Knockout questions. So here, knockout question is connected with the product safety management, and IFS is saying the basis of the company product safety control system shall be a fully implemented, systematic, and comprehensive risk management and HCCP system. So what is a knockout? Gentlemen and ladies, you shall have the implemented HCCP in your company. This is the basic for any food safety standard. For IFS Logistic, you will have implemented systematic and comprehensive risk management and HCCP system. For food, an HCCP system shall be used and be based upon Codex Alimentarius principles. In case that you didn't implement HCCP or that you didn't perform the risk management hazard analysis, this is, ladies and gentlemen, something that you will not pass on the certification of the IFS Logistics. So, but this is the first thing that you are starting with, yeah? All other steps in this second quality and product safety management system are connected with the step of implementation of HCCP. So here you will define the team. This will be the IFS team logistic, or this team will be trained. This is similar like the HCCP. So the first step is you define the team, which is multidisciplinary. You train the team, and very easy. You just follow the steps of the HCCP. When we go further, second to perform is hazard analysis, and knockout here is the case when you define the CCPs and monitoring system, but for some reason you lost the critical limit or did not control it, or there are no records to support this. So if you see, we are still following the steps of the HCCP in the implementation, and you will see a hazard analysis shall be taken, and you should consider the physical, chemical, and biological hazards, but also you should include allergens in the hazard analysis. For all of the steps, you will need to maintain some control measures. You need to think about critical limits and how you are performing the monitoring. Let's say, for example, you define this for the company, you set up the documents, but your employees does not fulfill the records. And you can expect, if auditor find this is a knockout, and you will not get the certificate. So the audit will be stopped immediately. So you have this one, you need to check this during your regular inspections. When we go further, you have one question. How often do you verify HCCP in your company now? And you can type in the answer in the chat box right now. How often do you verify HCCP in your company? So if you can type in the chat, how often do you verify HCCP in your company? As I noted, you have the FSSC, you have the NG every hour. Okay, complete HCCP once a year, Katarina. Okay, once per year. Once a year. Okay, so this could be maybe minimum annually. Yes. So you see, once per year, something that we got used to. And if we go further, we can see in the risk management, in the requirement procedures of verification shall be established to confirm that the risk management is effective, and verification of the system shall be performed at least annually. So in the standard, it is said at least annually. But if something is changed, you should do it more often. Someone wrote that they are doing it on 3 months. Rami said in 3 months. Someone said it was in 6 months, and that's okay. It all depends on the system. The standard is saying minimally once per year. So examples of the verification activities could be through the internal audits, through some evaluation of compliance, and also these results of this verification shall be incorporated into risk management system and shall be communicated and reviewed by the senior management. So you see, in every step of this IFS, you will need to include the senior management. Yeah. So this is something to really think about and follow. And of course, like in any standard, we have the requirement of the documentation requirements and record keeping. So what is specific here? Well, actually nothing is specific here. You shall have the records and documents of everything that you do in your processes of food safety. And only to mention here is that all records shall be kept in accordance with legal requirements and at least for 1 year. So this is something to think about. Since we are talking about logistics, this means that you don't produce any products, so you don't have any shelf life on the products, for example. So, for example, for the canned products, that you have 18 months of the shelf life, and then you will need to save your documents, records, keep them like more than 18 months. Here, the requirements is at least 1 year, but if you follow the regulative requirements, then this is also okay. Okay, when we go further, we have resource management. In the resource management, this is chapter 3. Everything is focused actually on the personnel and things around the personnel. So first thing, of course, personal training. Like in any other standard, for everything that you do, you need to train the employees. This means actually that you will have the training program that contains training frequency, also employees tasks, list of participants, languages, trainers, everything that you can put in that program. You need to have it, and you need to show it to the auditor. This does not mean that you will have only the program. It means that you will also perform this program. So this program will apply to personnel, including seasonal and temporary workers. So please don't forget about the seasonal and temporary workers, because they need to be also trained and included in your training program. Personal hygiene is the second thing in the resource management, and you shall have also documented requirements relating to personal hygiene, and where appropriate, the control of infection. So this will include also hand washing, disinfection, eating, drinking, smoking areas, etc. Also, this will include also the visitors, not just the personnel, protective clothing, etc. In case that you have laundry, then you will have to define the instructions about how this laundry is washed, who is washing it, how it is controlled, and etc. Sanitary facilities, equipment for personal hygiene, and staff facilities. This is very clear. Like in any other standard, there are no some kind of specifics. So you will have all of these provided. Adequate hand washing facilities. Hand washing should have also portable water with temperature, liquid soap. Also, you will have the requirements regarding the free fittings, hand disinfection, etc. So this is nothing like very specific. You just follow the rules for this, and we can go on to chapter 4. On chapter 4, it is more detailed as it is focuses on processes in the company. So here, chapter 4 is, let's say, the most important. Okay, every chapter is important, but in chapter 4, you have a lot of things that you need to implement if you are first time doing it with the IFS Logistics. So in chapter 4, the first thing also focused by IFS Food are a lot of focus of contracting review and the communication. So this means that the requirements or specifications which are defined between you and your contract partners need to be in writing. You shall have all the requirements reviewed, and you shall have some kind of evidence that you agreed on these requirements set up by your client or your partners. And also you need to show to the auditor that you are fulfilling all the requirements that you already agreed to the partners. So this is something, if you agree with the partners that you will storage their products on the temperature from 0 to 4 Celsius degrees, you will have to show that you are really storing these products at any time at this required temperature. If there are some specific handling requirements with the products, you will have to show during the audit how you handle with the products, and that this is agreed with the partner and that you are doing according to this contract. So in this case, you will have to check, is there any changes of some contractual agreements, and this should be also documented and communicated. What means under documented? It means that it is communicated maybe by email, or you have some annex of the contract, etc. Suppliers and service providers, similar thing. If you have some suppliers, if you have some service providers, you will have the procedure for their approval, and also the monitoring procedure that will include some risk-based assessment criteria. So you will have to check some supplier reliability, compliance, to perform maybe the audits of your suppliers, etc. And what is mentioned by the IFS Logistic is that the results of supplier assessment shall be reviewed regularly at least annually. Again, at least annually. So like any verification, at least annually. And according to all of these results, you will have some kind of records that shows that you already performed the review or the evaluation of your suppliers. So additionally, you will have a list of approved suppliers and services providers, and this will be available to the personnel responsible for the management of service provider and suppliers. If you struggle with this supplier approval, supplier evaluation, and auditing in any kind of standard, IFS QN together with me provides some super trainings that covers all of these topics, and you can visit the same through the link provided. I think that Simon already put that in the offers in the chat, and you can go there and actually you can link it and show what we are offering regarding practical supplier auditor training, through which we are covering a lots of different standards, IFS, SQF, FSSC, and etc. Okay, if we go further, we have specific requirements for material handling. So this is if the customer requirements include the requirements for the absence of defined ingredients. For example, they don't want that you handle some GMO or allergens in the same area where you are handling with their products. You should also comply with these specific requirements, and you should show that you are complying with these requirements during an audit. Traceability is also part of the realization of services, and traceability is same as any other standard. So you will have the traceability in place. No matter how you are tracking your traceability, you can have the traceability that you're tracking it through some software mainly now in logistics, you have some kind of software, where you put out a lot of the receiving product, then you storage it, then you have some software that you track where did you store the product, on which place in your storage, then you have the software tracking where you shipped these products, etc. So actually the traceability that you implemented shall be tested on a regular basis, again at least annually, and each time the traceability system changes. Mainly you are not going to change your traceability system, since you have in general you have some software, but in this case you will have the traceability system tested on regular basis, at least annually. So you will have some record that you tested your traceability, and also you will show to the auditor how did you test your traceability. Regarding maintenance and repair, it is not so strict like in IFS Food, especially when you handle some open products. In this case, maintenance and repair are more focused on having an adequate system of planned maintenance. So you will have some plan that is covering all the equipment. Mainly this is equipment which is used to handle with the products, like the I don't know, forklifts or something like that, and also some movement lanes, etc. And this also applies for internal and external maintenance activities. So if in case that you have some external services coming to your company, then you will have also a plan that includes these external maintenance activities. What is important is that all materials used for maintenance, although you have packed products, all the materials used shall be food-grade oils, non-toxic paints, etc., so that nothing could happen with the product packaging and any case of cross-contamination that could go through the packaging to the product. You should also have the record of any failures on the site, and this is similar like in any other standard. For this specific thing, when you are doing the storaging, very important is air conditioning, cooling, ice and compressed air, etc. And here are the requirements that you need to control the temperature, the humidity, and all other things which could influence the product quality and product safety. And this means that you need to have this under control. Mainly what I audited, there are, let's say, some freeze chamber or cooling chamber that are under some software controls. So in case that the temperature or humidity is changed, you will have some alarm noting that conditions in the chamber are changed or during the storage. And this will mean that you will have to do something with the product, maybe to move it to some other things and etc. Regarding one or more appropriate temperature recording systems you need to have implemented in logistic chain just in order to monitor the process at appropriate intervals. Mainly controls are done in some cases on every hour. It depends from the age of the equipment, but you can do it by software. You have the alarm system and that's it, you know. Mainly through the hazard analysis, you will analyze also this step. In case that you are using compressed air and that it has direct contact with food or food packaging, it shall be evaluated based also on hazard analysis, and this compressed air shall not compromise product safety or quality. Okay, I see that Vinod is saying, how can we control cross-contamination in food logistic? You will control the cross-contamination by some physical separation. You will control by time separation, like in any other standard. So you will have the separate areas marked, or you will have some separate identification labeling or any kind. It depends from the contaminant, you know. By cleaning, you will prevent some contamination with the dirt or some cleaning agents if you use proper cleaning agents. Also some cross-contamination of allergens you will prevent with storing allergens separately or labeling these products separately and physically separating them in the storage and handling with them. And this is it. Mainly in the IFS Logistic, you are handling with mainly with the closed product, packed product. Regarding the control measures needed to implement food supply chain to prevent food fraud, in this case, you will not see in the IFS Logistic food fraud, and I will mention later why. So we can go further. When we see these specific requirements in case of freezing and or thawing process, in case of freezing and thawing process, there shall be some documented process which specified also the hazard analysis that are connected with this. But in the case of freezing or thawing process that you have it, this is only done for the products that are not opened. So you receive something bulked that is closed in some transport packaging, or you receive, for example, I had one company that receives, for example, the slaughtered chicken, then they are doing just the freezing process and distributing again to the production company. So this is only the thing that they are doing. So this could be also a step. And here you really need to think about also previous step like air conditioning, cooling, etc. But this is very, very specific cases. So also in the circumstances where the control processes and working environment parameters, you need to check also the temperatures. You need to check the times for thawing processes if you have it, and again you will have some procedure in place to take some corrective actions in case that these processes are not followed correctly. Cleaning and disinfection, I will not go detail in this because cleaning and disinfection is same like in any other standard. Only in this case you will have the cleaning, for example, for transport containers. You need to think about tankers, rail tankers, which are used for transportation of liquid, granular or powdered unpacked products. And then you will have and minimum the cleaning and disinfection measures appropriate to the type of the product. Also cleaning and disinfection of the transport containers, you should include all associated equipment like hoses, valves, strains, etc. So this is something that you need also to think about, especially when you have some tanks and when you have some hoses, valves, etc. When we go further, this step of cleaning and disinfection is also detailed and also has the facility exterior that needs to be clean and in good condition. And For all the chemicals that you are using and cleaning agents, you should have some safety data sheets. This means that actually answers this question of, we know that cross-contamination is prevented with these safety data sheets and that these chemicals are approved, and also from the point of view of the safety of employees who handle these safety data sheets. What is important in case that you as a company engages some third-party service, then all of these requirements regarding cleaning and disinfection should be also applied to this third-party service provider. And then you will have some contract with all of this mentioned in this contract and practically fulfilling the requirements. Constructional requirements, again, we will focus here on floors, walls, ceilings that are in good condition, windows, doors, gates, etc. All needs to be closed. This is similar like any other standard, and there are no specifics, so I will not talk any detail about this. When we go further, we have also the equipment, and all equipment needs to be designed for intended use so that equipment does not pose any product safety or quality risk. This means that if you have some forklifts, leakage of oils, etc., there shouldn't be any oils that can go on the product packaging and do the contamination of some. Also the utilities and other equipment like cables, switches shall be easily accessible for cleaning. And this equipment should be designed so that doesn't pose some damage or contamination, and you prevent it with these steps. Pest control, of course, same as in other standard. You will have pest control in place, all the minimum like site plan, like responsibilities, maybe it is in-house or it is external, products, agents that are used, this should be performed. Also, the company shall have some qualified and trained in-house staff, or employee the service of a qualified external provider. You will have the records of performed, and of course you will have all the preventive measures to prevent entering of the pests, like, I don't know, some protective nets, air curtains, electronic fly killers, etc. So this is same like in any other standard. When we go on the receipt of goods and storage, then you will see that this is like reception in any other warehouse. You will have procedures for the controls, for the checking of some criterias, and you will have the records for checking of these criterias. Of course, with the storage, you will follow the rules of first in, first out, or first expired, first out. Mainly these rules are followed by use of some software equipment that will show where did you stack your products and which is the expiry date, what should go first, etc. And this should also be checked during your regular inspections or during your traceability check. You should also check the software system and first in and first out things, or first expired, first out things. The loading and unloading of products shall be carried out in a manner which prevents damage. So this is something that you should train your people how to do it, and this means that you will have some records of this training. Receipt of goods and storage. Outdoor storage shall be kept to a minimum. This means that there is no any contamination from outside. In case that you're using pallets, they shall be inspected to ensure that they are in good condition and shall not compromise product safety. So if you are using the wooden pallets, please make sure that they are not damaged, and please check that actually they are not compromised. And in case that damage wooden pallets, you will have maybe some nails, or you will have some wood that could go through the packaging and inside the product. So please make sure that pallets are in a good condition. Regarding the hazard assessment, you should think about risk for possible food fraud that is in place, which realistically can be expected within the process. So based on this, some appropriate measures for risk mitigation shall be documented and implemented. And regarding the food fraud, in this case, only Only what you need to think about is actually the steps how you handle the product. So if you're handling the product that is produced in some other place, what type of food fraud you can handle. If you are a distributor and you sell the products, then you should also check these products for a food fraud. Mainly how you will do it in case of IFS Logistic is that you check your suppliers or the products that you handle with. Do they have implemented IFS, for example, how they are handling the food fraud, and they can send you a food fraud plan. And this could be for you the input how you can check this in case of IFS Logistic. Regarding the food fraud inside your facility, inside your warehouse, I think that through hazard analysis, you will really show that there is a lack of possibility that you perform this. Because if you are just logistic, you are not opening the product, you are not mixing the product, you don't have ingredients, for example, that you add. In case that you have it, it is not IFS Logistic. Regarding waste disposal, same like in every other, you should have everything that is according to legal requirements. You will have some waste collection containers. It should be separated and it should be kept in a good condition. Also, you will have some records of waste disposal in the company showing how you are handling the waste. In case that you engage some storage service providers or third-party storage service providers, all the requirements in this specific need to be clearly mentioned in the contract with the service provider. So in case that you have a service provider, you should think about that this service provider, storage service provider, also have IFS Logistic. This is one requirement. In case that they do not have IFS Logistic, then you will have the contract and you will perform some auditing of this company in regular time intervals to check how they are handling with your products, how they are doing the storages, etc. Also, the employees of the service provider shall understand and apply the personal hygiene requirements, and this is something you should check during the audit of your storage service provider. Regarding the transport, this is very important because we have some specific transport requirements, and these specific transport requirements are mainly connected in a good hygiene, also temperature if it's needed. Also, in case that this is transport in thermal boxes, these containers needs to be in a good condition, odor-free, dry, functional, and fit for purposes. And also during transport, we need to think about permissible load levels, payload of transport vehicles. What is needed to mention here is that transport containers, tankers, which are used for the transportation of liquid or some powdered unpacked food products, they need to be labeled and used exclusively for the transportation of food. So in many cases, you will have the tanks that they are labeled as a food transport. In case that it is not labeled as a food transport, you will not pack products in it. Cleaning of the transport needs to be according to procedures, and you will have also the certificates of the cleaning to confirm that this is done properly with defined cleaning agents. Again, for transport requirements, you have some specific like hoses, pumps, filters, tankers that are cleaned. Transport service providers, everything that is previously mentioned. And if you're using the third-party transport, again, you will have the contract with all the specifics. So this is something that you will show to the auditor, the transport service provider contract, and you will show that you are actually communicated all the requirements to this third-party transport service, and that they are fulfilling this. Regarding the Vinod is saying how we can prevent food fraud in supply chain IFS Logistics Standard requirements. For example, I will just give you the tanker example. For example, if you are filling some bulk goods in the cisterns, transport cisterns, then you can put when you close the cisterns, you can put some kind of lock on the cisterns, and in this case, with the lock of these cisterns, only the reception will have the key for this lock. So this could be one way of preventing the food fraud in the supply chain. But again, you can prevent food fraud in supply chain by performing the audits of your suppliers and also your distributors or transport companies, etc. And again, you should define the rules in the requirements in the contracts in case that these things happen, like the food fraud. You are covered, and you can, let's say, pay it from the company that made the problem. Of course, at near end, we have some steps for measurement, analysis, and improvements of our processes. And first of things for measurement is, of course, you all guess, it's internal audits. So, and of course, it is a knockout question. What needs to be implemented is the effective internal audit. It needs to be conducted according to defined agreed audit program. It means that you will have some audit program. And this audit program will show that you are covering all requirements of this IFS standard. Scope needs to be defined according to hazard analysis, but the easiest way is that you always check the whole IFS standard requirements, and additionally you check some cases of customer complaints if you had them, and etc. This criteria also is applicable for off-site location owned or rented by the company. So if you are renting some storage, you will need to perform also the internal audit because you are following your product. At least once per year, internal audit shall be performed. And of course, you will have the auditors that are competent. That means trained. You will have some certificates that shows that they are trained and also independent from the auditor department. This is shown through the audit plan, and internal audit should be very effective to show that there are some possibilities that you perform some corrective actions in your system. What is specific for IFS is the site inspections. Site inspections are also planned and carried out. They are based on hazard analysis. And what needs to be covered here is that they are actually performed to check the infrastructure of the site, also the operational aspects of personal hygiene, hygiene of the processes, and risk management system, food defense system, also recording, etc. Any discrepancies that are found during the site inspections shall be recorded, and corrective action shall be implemented, if possible, immediately. Calibration, this is very important because you are handling with the products, you are receiving the products, you are transporting, shipping the products. In case that you have some measurement, you will have also the measurement equipment. This measurement equipment may be some scales, maybe some temperature recordings, maybe some softwares. You need to have the calibration. Mainly this is calibration performed by external companies, and these external companies will give you some records that the calibration is performed. So for example, in Serbia, we have scales. Calibrating of these scales is performed once in 2 years, and then you will have a small, you will have a small mark on the scale, but also you will have some recording. Okay, Srinivasulu, what is the frequency of site inspection? The frequency depends on your hazard analysis. So you can mainly, companies perform it once per month, but if there is some need, you can perform it more often. My proposal is that you do it once per month for a site inspection. Regarding the management of compliance, this also goes under 5th chapter, which is measurement, analysis, and improvements. And of course, if you want to improve, you need to track your customer compliance or the authority compliance or auditor compliance. Yeah, lots of compliance that are coming to you. So you will have to track all of this compliance. You will have to implement some corrective actions in this case, or maybe some preventive actions. And the results of this compliant data analysis shall be made available to the relevant responsible persons and, of course, to the senior manager. Again, we are saying that senior management must be there. When you are collecting the compliance, you will have also collected compliance that goes through the root cause and shows you some non-conformities or non-conforming product. And this is requirement where we have additional knockout. So this is a knockout that an effective procedure shall be in place for the management of all non-conforming products. So you will have the procedure that shows how you are handling with the non-conforming product, and minimally it should have also procedure for product quarantine, blocking or holding, identification, this means labeling, clearly identified staff responsibilities, the release procedure of goods, etc. In short, you will have separate place in your storage that is used for non-conforming products. In case that you have non-conforming products, you will label them and move them to this area. You will hold them or block them in this area according to what is defined by your internal team. And after this team will decide what will be done with this non-conforming product. And you shall show this to the auditor to show that you have some effective procedure. Yeah. In case that you don't have effective procedure, that you have non-conforming products all over your storage, mixed with some other products, then you are in problem. Recall and withdrawal, of course, this is also regulation need, but also this is requirement of the standard. Like in any other standard, you will have some effective procedure for withdrawal and recall. In case that you didn't have any recall withdrawal, then you shall test this process at least annually. How you will do it? My proposal is that you do it together with your customer. For example, your customer can maybe say, let's do the recall together. This is the product, for example, that is issued, and then you perform on the documents and through the softwares the recall and withdrawal. You don't really recall the products, but you have the recording of the performed recall and withdrawal, and then you record the time and show, was your recall okay or not? In case that it was not, again, you have non-conformities you need to deal with. Crisis incident management, I don't want to go very detailed in this. You need to have the procedure for crisis, especially let's say that this COVID-19 is a crisis, and how you handle with this crisis, you shall need to have described, you will need to have some instructions, trained employees, etc. So for any other crisis and incidents in your company, you will have also the procedures and describe what is done, who is responsible, how it is done. And what is important here is that these crisis and incident management procedures you will need to test regularly, at least annually. So how you can do it? You can engage external company that deals with some crisis management, and they can organize it for you, and you will have the record. So don't bother doing it by yourself. The best way, I saw it from the audits, the best way is that you engage someone externally for the crisis, for the incident management, and they do the test with you. Corrective actions, here we have another non-conformity, and here non-conformity that is mentioned is that corrective actions need to be clearly formulated, documented, and undertaken. In reality, this would mean that you have one register, it could be Excel sheet, where you put all the non-conformities collected from the system, from the regulation, from the customer complaints, all the non-conformities you put in this one Excel table. And for all of this non-conformity, you have the corrective actions, who is responsible, the deadline, was it performed, was it effective, etc. These responsibilities and the timescales for corrective actions need to be clearly defined. And in case that you do not have corrective actions defined for everything, then you have knockout, and you need to deal with this with your auditor, really. Yeah. So again, corrective actions shall be communicated to the senior management, and you can do it through the management review, for example. If we go further, And the last chapter is a product or food defense and additionally external inspection. So this is similar like in IFS Food. And first thing is defense assessment. So what we need to do here is to perform a product defense hazard analysis and assessment of associated risks that have been performed and documented. Based on this, you will have also product defense hazard analysis, and you can do it through some appropriate alert system. You have a link here. You can go and check some IFS Food defense guideline to help you implement this. On the other hand, you can go also on IFS QN trainings. You will see that we also perform the trainings for food defense and food fraud, and over there you will have inputs on a lot of new things or the softwares that you can use to define your food defense and food fraud. Okay. In case that legislation make registration or non-site inspection necessary, you will have evidence of compliance provided for this. Site security, it is very important, but in general, what it considers that you lock down your gates. It considers that you track who is entering, who is exiting your company. In reality, it means that you have some video surveillance, for example, that you check your visitors, that you mark them, etc., etc. Also, employees need to be trained in product defense, meaning that in case that they see that there is some possible tampering with the products, they are trained to inform the top management or the responsible person in the warehouse that something is wrong. External inspections, this is something that you have regularly, and you shall, in case of IFS Logistic, have documented procedures for managing external inspection and regulatory visits. This means relevant personnel needs to be trained to execute the procedure. What in reality this means? It means that you will have some way of informing the employees that there is coming some external inspections. In a way, this would mean that external inspection maybe wear some different types of colored coats to be distinguished, that they are external inspection. You will also define who can communicate with external inspection, who is responsible, etc. So this is mainly done with the job descriptions, who is responsible for the external inspection, but you will have the procedure, how you are handling with the external inspection, where do you take them, how you are visiting the facility area, etc., etc. And with this, we came to the end. It was very fast, I know, but the reason for this is that we have a lot of requirements. I just wanted to help you just to have a overview of the main requirements between all the requirements of IFS Logistic. For the end, I just wanted to thank you, and we will continue with the questions. But on this slide, you will have links to my information, and these links you will have in the presentations provided for you. And all the best, and I hope you will use this to perform your gap analysis in your work. If you have any issues, please don't hesitate to contact me by email or something, and we can of course talk about this. Okay, so this is practically it, that we came to the end of the our today's presentation.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Vlad. There was a heck of a lot to get through there in an hour. So you've done great. And as you said, everybody's going to get a copy of the open PowerPoint that they can use for training and for gap analysis, which is brilliant. So I know you answered some of the questions.
Yes, but we can go directly to the questions, and we will go answer again if needed.
Cross-contamination in, did you answer that one about Vinod?
Yes,
about
but if we talk about cross-contamination, you will mainly handle, in logistic, you will mainly handle the packed products or the packaging, for example. And cross-contamination is everything from some physical hazards. So this means that IFS Logistic already said you will have some pallets that are in good condition, so you don't have any nails or possible some wood sticking out and that you can damage the product. Also, when you're using the cleaning agents, you will have some SDS for the cleaning agents. You will use approved cleaning agents. Also, when you are handling the allergens, the IFS is also saying that you need to clearly separate them to analyze the possible hazards, cross-contamination, and this is the steps that you can implement there.
Okay, and again from Vinod, what are the main vehicle inspection points to fulfill IFS Logistics?
What is the vehicle inspection system? But generally, you are always, no matter is it IFS Logistic or any other standard, the main things that you are checking is the hygiene of the vehicle. Is there any possible damages that could influence further to your product damaging? Also, you should look inside the vehicle transport area. Is there any possibility of entering the gases or entering the oils or something like that? And in case that you transport the product on the defined temperature, then you will control also the temperature inside before the loading.
Okay, great. And Vijay Kumar, can a manufacturing unit apply for IFS Logistics?
No. As I said, if you handle in any kind with the product, like opening, having some ingredients, mixing, anything, you cannot. It is IFS Food.
Okay. And what about how we control and monitor service providers to meet IFS Logistics? So encouraging.
First thing is that you encourage them to have the IFS Logistic also. In case that we're talking about servicing providers like I don't know, cleaning, maintenance, etc., then you will have responsible persons in your company that check their everyday activities. So for example, let's take the service provider of cleaning. After they finish cleaning, they will give you some work order for that day of cleaning, and you will have one responsible person who verifies that cleaning was okay. If we talk about service provider of transport, if we talk about storage, then you will have a clear requirements in the contract. This is the first step. The second step is that you define the audits, and for audits you can have the contract with some auditor external. So this could be the audit over a second side, or you can perform the audit by yourself. From quality department, you go to audit. But first of all, you will have the contract that specifies what they need to fulfill.
Okay, Sumitra, what is the relationship between HACCP, IFS 2.2, FSSC 22000?
So actually, the HCCP is the basics for IFS and for the FSSC. Without HCCP, you don't have these standards. So first of all, you will have to perform the HCCP to implement it correctly, fully, to understand it fully, and then all other requirements around them, and then you will have the FSSC or the IFS, or you can just certify HCCP.
Okay, and Maria, in a HACCP plan for a frozen product exporting company, what validation verification steps can be used by the company to ensure that the consolidator or the shipping company is following the required temperature monitoring of the frozen products in the ship?
Frozen products in the ship. So, well, first of all, what can you do is you are checking the temperature on the loading and the temperature of the at your customer or unloading. Second of all, you will ask from your shipping company that they give you, for example, the recordings of the temperature during the whole trip. This could be done. There is a device called a thermal mouse, and this device is a thermal mouse you can put in your product, for example, and then you mark your product and you say to your customer that there is a marked thermal mouse. This is like small USB, but it checks the temperature all the time. After it is received, your customer is opening it, put it in the computer, and then it can see all the temperatures during the whole way of transport. If you check out in the Google, you will find a lot of information about this.
Okay, and Bhupathi, how can we demonstrate that FIFO, first in, first out, is being followed?
Well, through your traceability. You will demonstrate through your traceability, but also you can demonstrate by easily checking only the shelf life of the storage product. You can go directly in the warehouse, then you just check the shelf life of your products, and then you see what is packed and what is already on the shelf. In case that thing that is packed is a shorter shelf life, or I mean longer shelf life, then you are not following the first in, first out. It depends also on the system. Sometimes you will have the requirement of the retailer that you ship them a product that is in some defined time limits for the shelf life. So this means that you are following also the FIFO but also FEFO rules. But to demonstrate it, you can show it through the storage shelf life, and you can then demonstrate it through your, for example, software system who tracks the storaging actions.
Okay, another one from Vinod. Health status of drivers, is that mentioned anywhere in IFS Logistics Standard?
But let's think about it. Do drivers handle the product? Do they load or unload? It is not specifically mentioned in the IFS Logistic, but in case that they are loading or unloading the products, then you should take that into consideration in your hazard analysis. Yeah. In this case, you will think about health status of the drivers.
Okay. Janazabe is asking, can we integrate IFS Logistics with FSSC 22000 or BRC?
Yes, you can. If it's for the storage, yes, I think you can do it.
Okay. Okay, I think I've picked through the ones that are relevant to logistics. There were some others, but they're not related to logistics. Unless you can see any more, Vlad?
No, I don't see it actually. I think that all of these questions, I will just go overview it.
Oh, Vinod's asking, can IFS Logistics be done in India? Would you know that?
I'm sure it can.
Yeah.
And you can check Quality Austria in India. We have also the offices there, and you contact them and they will explain it to you.
Brilliant. Right. Good work, Vlad. We've run over a bit, but I really appreciate the time and effort that you've put into this. It's been really great. So
no problem. Thank you all for listening and for joining this. I know it was fast, but it's a good way just to go through it. You don't have to sit and read it. And yeah. I have read it, implement it, and I can show it to you. So this
you've done brilliant. Thanks very much, Vladimir. Appreciate it.
Thank you also.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, that was Vladimir Suchinsky, our great friend, and he really makes these presentations detailed, informative, and interesting. So yeah, next week we're on food defense, the differences between food defense in the USA versus European. So compare and contrast them. And that will be with Earl Arnold from AIB International. So that's next Friday at the same time. Yep, you have to add your own name to the certificate, as I say regularly. Right, thanks very much, everyone. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep safe, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.